Having a quorum, let's call this meeting to order. And the first item on the agenda is approval or correction or not of the minutes of March 5, 2025 meeting, which Philip did send out to us. I noted no changes in them. Did anybody else see anything in the minutes that they would like to be worthy of mention? Right. I mean, yeah, and I did not print them out because I put on my copy editor glasses and didn't see anything. But if if you want to take a minute, if you did bring yours, is it possible to put them on the screen? Or if people wanted to look at them? Right. Yeah. But at any point, if someone wants to make a motion to, okay. Second, any other discussion? Okay, everyone in favor of the approval of the was it March 5 minutes? Please say aye or raise your hand. Aye. Any abstentions or, okay. I think they were emailed. Yeah, they were part of the same, yeah, I think they were a slightly different attachment. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But we've, okay, so the real reason we're here, and um, thank you for Madeline for being here as well, too. And I'm not sure if there's someone from the city, so very good to see you. And so the city wants to put up this memorial to Peter and Patty McGee, great citizens of the city. And I will say, Madeline, that I started on this commission when your father was the head of it. And I think at one of our meetings, a few meetings ago, we did have the minute of respect for when he died, in honor of him and all he did for this committee. And it's nice to see something going forward, to see what both your parents did for the city. I actually live in that neighborhood too, so we were just talking about how beautiful Rag Square is. So the city wants to put this up. Would you like to say anything? Okay, okay. Okay. And so then we didn't know, we were expecting maybe Jason was going to be coming from the city. Um, okay, out of town, okay. So, the only thought that I had, and again, the way we do this is generally that, we go through it and then we ask if there's any kind of thoughts or corrections or need any information before it is approved. I think there was an earlier question, and maybe as to where it's going to be placed. I mean, a email from Jason at one point suggested that it was going to be, and don't mean to put you on the spot, that it was possibly in two places near the church, perhaps and then also near the Meeting Street entrance, the steps. Is that correct, that you know of? Right. And we assume it would be on some um, kind of plinth or something like that, and where people could yeah, tilted so people can read it. Yep. Yep. And your family has approved this language? Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. The one thought that I have, and then we'll open it up to do, is, on the last paragraph, many of the plants beneath these beautiful live oak trees were from Patty's garden. I wonder what you think of are. Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Right. I mean, to me, words puts it in the past tense, and it's not, and it, I think it would engage people more if they realize that this is not just merely a memorial, but it's kind of a living memorial, since these if you say are, that might bring it more immediate. Right, yeah, right, uh-huh, right, right. Well, at least it doesn't flood there. That's the one thing that we can say. And I can remember your mother's comments about the clivias in her garden, basically saying, don't worry about the silver. If the tides rise, take the clivias out, the bulbs. Yeah, Angela. And I'm sorry, we should turn the green light on to speak, because I think we are being live streamed.
The only other thing that I would ask, is obviously Peter and the names Peter and Patty are nicknames essentially. And so the question in my head when I read it the other day was, do you want this to be so formal where their actual names are used in the title, and then in the first paragraph, their actual names, and then in parentheses are their nicknames? My guess is that since the family has been so involved in creating this, this is the approach you chose to take. But normally it would be the other way around. And I just didn't know if that was something that needed to be considered or just put it aside.
I mean,
This is not a snack. Thought it was informal being just a
Okay.
garden.
Yeah.
And there's so much here. They will
Yeah. Okay.
Really know more as Peter and Patty.
right.
So you-
Then that's fine.
And the thought would be is, if this is something that makes the family happy and is, not incorrect.
Okay.
And again, and the commission itself, apparently, we don't have a manual for format as well. So, I mean, we do follow, like, to some extent, AP style or something like that. So I don't think we have to, that there's a manual dictating that we have to do that. Do anyone else have do any commissioners have any other thoughts about wording or punctuation? And as you might have heard, Madeline, we spend a lot of our time on punctuation, and here comes Dale. Yep.
Well, normally when we read these things, we have a space or character restriction count.
Right.
It looks like there's a lot of space, short paragraphs that could be extended with more descriptive terms. And I'll just use one as an example. 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph, the last line in 2024. If the rest of that line is available without restrictions, why not say something in some term about what was restored? By restoring the landscape, brickwork, vegetation, something that would lengthen that sentence, take up the space and be more descriptive.
We choose to do fewer words and break it into short one-sentence paragraphs, because we looked at a number that are up and they're so dense that you really don't want to read them. We wanted to make it was more important to us that people read it and stopped for a moment and thought about the beauty of the garden than that but more detail.
And I will say along those lines, I think there was one morning during Spoleto, I forget who it was, that was playing the violin there. Yeah, yeah, right. Was just walked by and was playing the violin there in that beautiful space. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. And the one thing I can say, Dale, about that restoring Rag Square is just because I am in the neighborhood, they pretty much restored the entire thing. It was, if, they took trees out, they put trees in, they did a different walkway. The fountain had been somewhat restored before. So it does seem to be that it's in its entirety. So I don't think we're leaving out any information. And this is something we struggle with too, Madeline, is oftentimes we realize that people don't read to the ends of things, and having to be succinct Brevity and the soul of wit. And yet, mhm. Yep, so we do have the image of what it would look like as well too. And again, the Word document or the PDF looks pretty much similar to what the bronze plaque would be as well too. Any other discussion? Any thoughts? So, yeah, I mean, so again, we can, you know, we can do that. We can, we can entertain a motion to accept it the way it is. We can do a motion to bring it, maybe put the word brought in. And again, I would defer to you as to, since you're the expert on this and consulting with the expert, what do you feel is best? Okay. And that still gives us 4 words under, so. Yeah. So is there any other discussion? Would someone like to entertain a motion to accept this as amended with adding the word brought in the penultimate paragraph? Okay, okay, any other discussion? Okay, we've got a first and a second. Can we call the vote for it? Everyone in favor, please say aye, raise their hand or both. Anybody against or abstentions? Okay, I think, and it shall be done. Yeah, and is this a birthday? Okay, happy birthday. And we treasure your parents' memory. I do personally, and I know they did so much for the city as well too. So I think it'll be great, virtue won't be its own reward. They'll actually have a marker, you know. Yeah. So you're welcome to stay, Madeline, and I think we're going to discuss some other things too, possibly, but thank you. Thank you for being here. Um, and so then we have D, miscellaneous business.
Yes,
Yep.
Mr. Chairman. On a subsequent meeting, I would like to introduce to the commissioners a statement in support of my efforts to create a Gullah historical place at 119 Maple Street in Charleston, South Carolina. I sent out to members of the commission a request that the item be placed on the agenda for this meeting. And the reason I've done so is because I've been harassed for the past 5 years, for many years, since 2003, as a matter of fact, by the city of Charleston for my efforts to perpetuate history at that site. That has included threats of suit and police matters, pretense that I was running an illegal bed and breakfast when I owned the property. This is in opposition to a legal opinion by the state court that the city could not tell a property owner how long or short a period they could rent their property for. This has been an ordeal for a long period of time. And as people who have a special interest in history, I would certainly ask you to support my efforts to do what I'm doing there and to recommend to City Council that it cease and desist, the city cease and desist from efforts to prosecute me criminally for what I'm doing. If you'd like more information on this, I'd be happy to supply anything, any request you may have, and I will submit a resolution regarding this to the clerk for consideration at the next meeting.
So one thing that I would suggest, is that like anything else that comes to us, because I feel like I do not know, I have enough information to have any even opinion on it. You know, if you've seen, as we've evolved, before we ever talk about something, you know, like when we get something from the state, we have all of this background matter. So my
Now,
thought
I'm
would be is,
suggesting it today
Right,
that we put
right.
it on the agenda. I
Right.
will provide you with information, any commissioner may request, or any information that I have. on
right.
that.
So I think if we do bring it to the agenda, Peg,
This
A
is
question.
for too long. It's an annoyance, and it degrades the city's interest in history.
I thought the city had a short-term rental thing that applies to all homeowners. I don't know what it is, but I think you can't have a rental less than X number of days. Is your place in the city?
I can't hear you?
Is your place in the city?
Yes, it's located at 119 Maple Street.
Well, I'm not familiar with that location, but I thought every place in the city there is a resolution or a law. You all help me out.
my understanding that there's a zoning ordinance for different neighborhoods.
Oh.
The way I understand it,
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
some B and Bs, and again, my understanding may be flawed, that some B and Bs in particular part of the city, and I think there's a difference between B and B and Airbnb, and I'm certainly not an authority on that.
Mhm.
But I know that some B and Bs, I know at least in my neighborhood, which is Mezquite-Ragsboro, where this is, the building has to be 1861 or older.
Yeah, well,
For
history
B and
didn't
B.
stop there, but
Uh-huh.
the fact is that history didn't stop in 1861. It's
Right.
another one of those arbitrary and capricious requirements that the city of Charleston has placed upon property owners who wish to engage in Airbnb or in B and B activity.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that there's a new ordinance. For some years, I wasn't harassed until I think till 2019, when a new bed and breakfast ordinance was passed, making it illegal to advertise a property as being available for rent or lease for less than 30 days, unless you had a permit from the city. That's what it requires. So in that sense, it's a restriction on freedom of speech.
Right.
I have filed a federal court case against it because of its constitutional restrictions.
Right.
And our infringement on constitutional
Right.
rights, basic constitutional rights,
I-
and because it has to do with the perpetuation of history.
Right, well, I don't
As I
think,
said, I simply want
Right.
to, I'm simply asking today
sure,
that we include the item on our next
agenda, sure. And I would, then, I think we can go certainly and do that, but I would request too that we get the most information, but I would, trying to find the right verb, advise you that we can't, you know, we just don't, we can probably weigh in on history. I don't think we can, you know, and the encouragement of history and the, you know, and the importance of history, I don't think we as an organization or as, you know, as commissioners can weigh in on constitutional issues. So my thought would be is, you know,
I haven't asked you to
Right.
have anything to do with that. I've asked you simply to include the item
right.
on the
And
next.
no, and that's just, I'm advising, when you do
On the
give it,
next agenda, yeah.
when you do give us the information to. you
And
know,
I
to-
will provide
Right,
that information.
Right, but if you can focus the agenda item on the history part of it and not on the constitutionality of it or that kind of thing, because again, even looking at the legislation that you just quoted, we advise on issues of history and not on zoning. So
Yeah.
my thought is when you bring the point across, you know, try to focus it on what we do as history and not on the legality of things, because I just don't think we have the expertise. I know I don't have the
I'm not
expertise.
pretending that there's going to be any resolution, any legal resolution of a legal question in this forum.
Okay,
I
good.
am simply saying that the city, as a matter of policy, should be encouraging history instead of discouraging.
And I think that's certainly the type of thing I think that's a discussion that we can certainly do. And Angela, before you came, when we were talking to, we were reading the statute and there, and Philip had encouraged us beforehand as well too, that we have the power to put things on agendas. We're going to ask, and then Dale brought up the fact that at one point we put out a resolution as well to city council, saying that we are here to help. And,
I'll prepare a
right.
resolution.
And to also so if we want to discuss our prerogatives here in the commission, the thought was that if we put that on the agenda for a meeting, one, we would hope more people would come, and two, we should come prepared to talk about talking points as to what we think. So we will ask Philip to possibly dig up, if it's not too much, the enabling legislation and the resolution. And Dale said he can supply the resolution. Is that possible, Philip, before the next meeting goes out?
What is your
Resolution
specific
regarding
question
what,
here?
sir?
Pardon?
What's your specific question here?
Specific, so when the meeting goes, when the meeting announcement goes out to us
Mhm.
again as well too, that we can all that Dale can forward to you the resolution, the items that we want to discuss at that meeting. So the resolution that this committee did do at one point, so we could all have it, and then also a copy of the enabling legislation for this committee. So those would be topics that could frame our discussion.
Yeah, you can send to me and Harlan at any time, regardless of whether or not we're holding a meeting, anything you'd like to discuss at the next meeting.
Right.
And if that next meeting if that has some sort of substantive stuff to talk about, or
Mr. Chairman,
if it doesn't,
I would like to propose that the commission vote now to include the item regarding Fraser's.
we would need to have something
regarding
on the
Fraser's Gullah
agenda
homestay.
already in order. to
Regarding
vote on
Fraser's
it.
Gullah homestay
Right,
at our next meeting.
right. I mean,
Uh,
as Philip said, we would need to put that on.
I'm moving that
Right.
now.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's any doubt that there will be, as long as we put it,
There's a motion on the floor.
okay. Is there a second?
Is there a second?
I will say, if there is not a second, we're going to do it regardless. Because, like I said, we have the power to do it, and I don't think we need to do it this way. If we, it will be on the agenda next time.
All right.
So,
If the commission gets involved with this, would they be dragged into your lawsuit?
I can't hear you.
I don't know
Well,
why. I've got it on, I thought.
You
what-
got it on now?
Yeah.
But you went,
If we get working on what you want, will we be dragged into the commission be dragged into the lawsuit?
no, it's a matter of policy regarding the city's policy concerning what it pursues in lawsuits.
And again, just to make clear, I think we will put this on the agenda, but I will again advise that that you focus the agenda item, Wilmot, on the city's encouragement of history.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's something that we can feel comfortable talking about. But when it gets to things about lawsuits or zoning, I think, one, we're way above our heads, and it would be futile on our part to discuss those things. We have standing and we don't even have the information. But if you can focus that agenda item on history and the city's encouragement of history, I think that's certainly something that's in our purview, and I think we'd be eager to discuss it.
Yeah, I think it's in our purview after looking at this enabling ordinance. And I think it's something that, it's certainly something dear to me. As colleagues, I would ask your support. The importance of history that relates to folk is something fairly new in the annals of history. We don't get at, what it means to be Gullah, what it means to be, how this figures in history. What I have done is to collect various Gullah artifacts, many Gullah artifacts, put it in a house, which used to be a broken down, dilapidated house, and make sure that these elements of Gullah culture are prominently displayed for people who visit Charleston who are interested in Gullah culture, or for people who might want to visit Charleston who know nothing about Gullah culture. By immersing them in this environment, I expect that they will learn something about Gullah culture, whether it's the fact that Gullah people produce quilts, whether it's the fact Gullah people produce beautiful baskets, whether it's the fact that they also made furniture, like rice beds and that kind of thing, whether that they do brickwork and ironwork and all the other kinds of things that are displayed in this house.
Right. I do think we can
And-
certainly
and-
encourage the
and
city
I've
to,
I hope we have received it, well, basically the description of the house and pictures
right,
of the house. If you want to visit, I can arrange for that as well.
right. I mean,
But it's something that I think is important
well, I
and
think,
that we need to foster,
right. I mean,
as a commission.
right. I think, and again, I don't want to, I'm grateful the commissioners be here, and I know people have lives to live, and city employees like to leave at 5 o'clock. So I
Well,
think we should honor that.
I don't intend to
Right.
discuss this for long. I
Right.
simply wanted to make sure that
Right. But
this
again,
was included on our next
right,
agenda.
right. And I will say too, that I think if the issue is Gullah culture and encouraging Gullah culture, I think that's certainly in our purview. If it's a specific spot and it's got,
It relates to a specific spot and
Well-
a particular activity.
right, 'kay, I just want to be able to say that next time when we do this, I just wanted to, again, advise you that if it's Gullah culture and encouraging the city, I think that's within our purview. If it's an issue with a particular spot and an argument with the city, I don't think that's our purview.
If you're not going to look at specific instances, Harlan,
Right.
you're not going to, you can't generally just gloss over
Right,
activity that is happening and that has gotten to the point where it's a legal question.
and again, like I said,
Legal
we
question.
can't.
We don't handle legal questions here, but the city does.
Exactly. Like I said,
Yeah.
we don't, but again, maybe we're talking about the same thing, and maybe I'm borrowing trouble and worrying about something that won't happen. So we look forward to whenever the next meeting comes. We think that will be on the agenda. We also think a larger discussion of what this commission might want to do, should we want to engage in that. So, and I think those two arguments, those two agenda items will segue one from the other.
All right, thank you.
Okay, okay. So I think we are now to the point, if there's no other business, we can adjourn, and we can adjourn with a thank you. And thank you all for coming, and stay tuned. Oh, no, we appreciate you coming. We understand. No,